Okay, I'm back. I don't know what that disconnect was about. That was weird. You know, when I switch scenes like that, it's it's not supposed to immediately disconnect, but it did. Okay, so David Smith, if you're still here, please confirm. Yeah, it was very strange. The transition of the music. My player has reloaded now. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around. I don't know what happened there. Like, I switched scene and then it disconnected. My bitrate crashed to 0. Okay, so the Princess of Swords as your first card. This is like saying to you that whatever obstacle you're faced with, like there might seem to be ruin or chaos that's just outside of sight, that's closing in around you, you can find a solution to it. The process of putting out the fire, the process of overcoming the obstacle, it becomes a foundation stone for your identity. So you had that death card in your last spread, so that's a scary experience. Death cards are always scary experiences, but you know, overcoming and pushing through and experiencing the rebirth and then stepping into a more aligned and healthier way of existence as a result, that becomes a core memory. It becomes like a core part of your identity. So that princess card is about creating those. It's like having an experience that is like a founding stone for your identity, and swords is specifically regarding your own goals and your own mission. So that resonates with your interpretation of focusing on yourself. So it's kind of saying that the process you went through of like developing yourself and growing within, it didn't happen easily. You were faced with many obstacles and you had to really apply your ingenuity and your creativity, but you did, and you overcame, and that's become like core parts of your identity, and it's actually very powerful. Princess of Wands in reverse. So again, Princess is about creating those core foundation stones for your identity. And this card, it says to you that whatever your desires are, whatever your manifestation is, like with this partner and all the things that you're experiencing, you have learned enough and you've grown so much that whatever you were afraid of back in the beginning, like you're afraid of stepping out of alignment, you're afraid of whatever it is that you have fears about, fear of the unknown, all of those are irrational. You've grown so much that the things that you used to threaten you and used to be afraid of are no longer valid in the present. They no longer exist in the present, and you're still allowing them to control your decisions, affect your decisions and your course of action. This card wants to say to you, stop that, because the tiger of fear that once bit into you is now dead, and you can leave its corpse. You don't have to carry this dead tiger around anymore. You can let go of it. You can follow after your passions, you can follow after your desires, and allow your intuition and your creativity to guide you, and you can let go of those fears that you once had that used to be valid, because they're not valid anymore. Nine of Discs. Nine of Discs. This is kind of like a key. It's like a suggestion how you can unlock the future that you desire, the future you're trying to create. This specifically to do with physical security, physical pleasure, health, and physical relationships, sexual relationships. So this card is saying to you, self-reflection is your key here. If you look back on past relationships and your past cycle, like look at your own part to play. Yeah, sure, you've been with partners who were toxic or whatever. You've had difficulty in past relationships, and other people, like the partners that you've had, have been shit. But notice your own part to play in the failure of past relationships, where you were not able to place down strong sexual boundaries, or where you didn't respect someone else's boundaries. Have a look at where you want to see everywhere that you are responsible for fuck ups in your past relationships, so that you don't repeat them as you go into this new relationship. And also look at the places where you did well, where you were able to take responsibility, where you were constructive, where you were supportive, where you were able to, you know, carry responsibilities through, especially when it came to physical, like money, when it came to like making sure there was enough to eat, that rent was paid for. Look where you did well in those places, and look at where you failed in those places, so that you can learn from those past relationships and avoid repeating the old cycles, basically, so that you can step into this new relationship with a new cycle. None of the past mistakes being made, but all of your past successes being perpetuated. I feel like the underlying message that came from that reading from your angels is you get to decide if this is going to be aligned with you. Are you going to take the lessons that you've been taught and apply them here to make sure that this relationship is healthy and whole? It's up to you, basically, is what they're saying. Have you grown enough? Have you learned enough? Are you going to start a new cycle, or are you going to repeat an old cycle? And you're welcome. Mr. Subin, I was reading for David Smith, as you can see on screen. Yes, exactly. Bingo. Can you feel the ecstasy? Can you feel the ASMR? I can. Autonomous sensory meridian response, like soda water being poured on my head. Captain Roz was joining the queue, and Queen of Discs was joining the queue at this point. So if Captain Roz is here, he's next, followed by Queen of Discs, Queen of Pentacles, SS, followed by Mr. Subin. So Mr. Subin, please stop spamming your question. Like, that's the third time you post your question. It's all good. I got your question. Relax, relax. There's still 2 people ahead of you in the queue. So just giving Captain Roz a few moments to confirm if he is here, otherwise we're moving on to Queen of Discs. Queen of Discs says she can hear all my cocks. I got a lot of cocks, and they make such a noise. They're very, very obvious, and they like to stand out. They really get in your face there. They shove themselves in your face. Such rude cocks. Twitch should include some more categories, some more some new magical categories. Like, yeah, they should change the tarot category to divination, and they should add things like, they should add a mysticism category as well. You know, where things that are not divination can go in. You know, like actually dream interpretation does fall under divination, but then things like manifestation and healing, Reiki healing, and what else? Actually, divination falls into mysticism, so it doesn't really matter. Princess Googlebum, I do raise my own chickens. Yes, there's like 100 chickens, just short of 100 chickens here. I try and keep that number. I eat them and replace them as I eat them. Do I chicken also for eggs? The hens and roosters that I've got are meat. They're here for meat. But yeah, sure. I'd like to get some that lay. I did have some that laid, and then they all died last winter. They died because the number of cocks outweighed them. You know that the ratio of male to female was ridiculous. There were way too many roosters, and they killed each other and all the hens. I couldn't catch them fast enough, because at that point they were very much free range. They still are, but now they have enclosures. They're big enclosures, but before they didn't have enclosures, so trying to catch them was a fucking mission. They were there for eggs, not for food. But then having so many roosters, like 14 roosters, and 5 hens, it wasn't sustainable, and I couldn't catch them fast enough, so they killed each other and all the hens, and had to start again. Good morning and good afternoon, Psyches. Yes, Princess Googlebum, I do slaughter them myself. It is a sacred ritual. Okay, it's not like at the abattoirs and butcheries where they just slaughter hundreds of chickens. It is a sacred death ceremony when I do slaughter them. I use the death as a sacrifice ritual, you know, as a way to empower a manifestation at the same time as bringing food into the house. Yeah, it does. It makes a very big difference when it's your own meat that you've raised, that you've been investing into, you know, investing of your time and energy and money. It's just a big difference. And then when you make that sacrifice a sacred experience, and you make it a ritual, a sacred divine ritual, it's even more potent. And literally that food becomes enchanted. Okay, but reading for Queen of Discs now. How is everyone's Sunday so far? My Sunday's going well. How about yours, Psyches? Is there a way that I can have open communication with my partner? I guess we had a breakup, and I want to take it back, amend the relationship, and he hasn't really been responsive to me, so I'd like some advice around this. Okay. I would ask a question, I'd ask you a question, but I already spoke it out loud, and I feel it kind of gets repetitive, you know, to say the same question, like to read it out loud and then say it out loud to the tarot, I feel like it's not necessary. My guides tell me, you sound like a duus, they say. Duus means a thing that you hit with a hammer. A duus is a nail. It's a thing that you hit with a hammer. It doesn't have to be a nail, it can be a wedge. Anything that you have to hit with a hammer is a duus. It's an Afrikaans word. Okay, so 7 of Discs is the first card I've got for you, Queen of Discs. It is in reverse. So the 7 of Discs in reverse, it's like losing out on everything that you've invested. It's like this relationship, it had a purpose, and it had a destination. It was like you guys were creating something together. The relationship itself and the other aspects of life were being created and shared together, and you were walking towards that outcome, walking towards that destination. And then this breakup is like saying, let's go back to the starting point. It's like we swam halfway across the lake, but it's too far to go all the way, so we're going to go back to the start. We're going to swim the full distance but not actually get anywhere. So that's what the 7 of Discs talks about. It's an unfortunate thing to see in a spread. If you boink your head, do you become a duus? Yeah. It's a synonym for idiot in Afrikaans. If I call someone a duus, I'm calling them an idiot, but the literal translation is wedge or nail or anything that you hit with. It's something that is hit with a hammer. That's what a duus is. It's like if I'm calling someone a duus, I'm calling them a wedge. Like you're trying to put yourself in between. You're being a devil's advocate, or you're being you're being mischievous. You're being something that has to be hit with a hammer. You're being a duus. I have to hit you. In the present, I have a 6 of Swords for you. It's the right way around. This kind of says to me that the shift in the relationship is healthy for both of you. Like what you want for your life, the kind of growth you want to accomplish, the things you want to learn about and manifest into your life. This is in the interest of those things. It's in the interest of your personal development, and this breakup is in the interest of his personal development. Yeah, that's basically what it's saying. It's not saying much else. So far we see you've lost out. It's unfortunate, you've lost out on a lot of energy and time that you've invested, and but it is also within your interest. This breakup is also in the interest of your personal growth and in the interest of his personal growth. We have number 20, the Aeon, in the future, also a reversed card. This card is called Judgment in Rider-Waite, and it literally means judgment, but not in the way most people understand judgment. You know, like Christians are judgmental. They judge you and they tell you, oh, you're going to hell because you're having sex with your boyfriend but you're not married, or you're going to hell because you didn't go to church on Sunday, or whatever. Fucking retarded judgment, unrighteous judgment. So healthy judgment is when you look at a situation and you observe somebody's character and you're like, if I have to behave the way they're behaving, it will result in ruin for me, my life, my relationships. Or to look at someone and say, okay, If I follow that example, it will result in growth and prosperity and abundance for me and my relationships. That is healthy judgment. You don't condemn them, you don't tell them they're wrong, you're just observing and then reflecting against your own discernment, seeing how will that example affect my life. Now this card is in reverse, so it wants to warn you that you have been judging unrighteously. You've been judging your partner, he's been judging you, and going forward you risk continuing that, and you don't learn anything valuable if you're judging unrighteously. If you're condemning him for his behaviors, you're not judging righteously, and it's not in anybody's best interest. There's no hope for rekindling if you are judging unrighteously. You can't change him though. Like if he's judging you and he's condemning you and your practices and your beliefs and your behaviors, instead of learning from it, you can't change that. But you can change yourself, and you can change whether you're judging him righteously or not. Yeah, so all in all, I don't see much hope for rekindling, but that shouldn't be your focus. Rekindling should not be your focus. Your focus should be on learning from his example, learning from your own example within that relationship, and your focus should be on your own personal development.
Sometimes roll them in bowls. What am I supposed to do?
Just cover them with a cloth then, or put them in the oven without putting the oven on, and leave it for another hour, because those small balls are going to blow up to the size of a regular bun.
Shit, they're all going to like mush into one another.
If they're too close together, yes. So maybe
I should make them smaller.
you should grease that flat pad and put some in there as well.
Yeah, because there's not enough space.
Okay.
And I think I might make them too big.
It's okay if we have giant rolls, it's okay. It doesn't have to be all done in one batch. If there's too much, take out some,
Okay.
and once that's cooked, then we'll make another batch.
Okay, I'm just put them in the oven so long.
Just roll it all into bowls so long.
Yeah, they are already all balls.
Okay. Yeah. Then just leave them to blow up. Make sure there's enough space between them, and leave them to blow up, whether they're in a pan or not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
There's no way to have open communications with him. You can just communicate with him. You know, like if you are changing the way you perceive, instead of judging and condemning, you're judging righteously and learning, and like, so then here's an example. If you guys had a fight because he is an addict to a drug, let's say he smokes too much cannabis. Now cannabis is not a big deal, but it can get in the way of your own goals in your own life, and it can keep you away from your maximum potential if you allow it to rule your habits in your life. So let's say that that is happening. You've seen that, you had a fight with him about it, and you condemned him for it. But now you're changing your perception, and you're saying, okay, I learned that if I had to let cannabis rule my life like that, I would have to let go of all of my dreams and everything I want to create with my life. So you can communicate that clearly with him. Whether he communicates back, condemns you or not, you can open the channel of communication. He might not be responsive like you're saying, but if you can only lead by example. You can't change him, you can only change yourself. Princess Googlebum says, how much is the channeling service? I can't see the price on your Facebook. I can't afford more this week, but I'd be interested to save up if you could channel my spirit guides so I can speak to them. I hope that's how it works. Yes, that is how it works, mediumship. Yeah, that is how it works. Mediumship allows me to channel it. I can channel whatever. I can do my best to connect to it and channel it. Typically, I'm a medium for spirits of the dead, but I have channeled certain divinities like Hecate. I've done that for people, and mostly I'm asked to channel people like ancestors, people who have died, to call them back and communicate with them. So I don't really know what the price is, but I can send you a whisper, Princess Googlebum. I can check it and whisper it to you. Welcome, Queen of Discs. Many welcomes to you. What can I say except you're welcome? So if you follow that panel to Facebook, you can't see it. That's very interesting. I'm following it now to see if I can. It is a public post. Milton Knowles, the Insane Witch King, you're on my TV and it's off the hook. Welcome back, by the way. It's good to see you. So where is it? 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 There it is. So the 30-minute channeling session I have listed as $16. Jiajing, welcome. I join Ops. Thanks for joining the queue. Milton, the Insane Witch King, welcomes us all into his presence. Thanks so much. As we welcome you into ours. So Mr. Suman is next on the list. Mr. Suman, are you still here? Because I'm ready to read for you now. Pixel Angel 9, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon. Please don't hesitate to join the queue if you'd like a tarot reading. Please don't hesitate to chat, or I can, it doesn't have to be specifically related to tarot. We do all kinds of mystic things here. We did some dream interpretation earlier. We can do all kinds of things here. Mr. Subin is here, fantastic. You're being told that I won't be able to handle your spirit guide. They're literally making my back stiff. I can hear them speak, but not clearly enough. I'm still new to all this, but it says it might be dangerous if you do. Well, it is your decision. Reading generally for Mr. Subin. Actually, it's not. Mr. Subin wants a 5-year reading. You'll pass on it for my safety. Like I said, it's up to you. I should be able to take care of myself, right? If I offer that service. fasten it for your safety. I should be able to take care of you though. General reading regarding Subin's next 5 years. Sounds like they're scared of something, to be honest, Princess. Sounds like your spirits are scared of something. I'm not offended. I'm quite secure, you know, in my own identity. I'm quite sure of what I'm capable of and how safe I am or how unsafe I am. Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands for Mr. Subin. So, you already had a pretty good idea of what you wanted in the next 5 years, Mr. Subin. For quite some time you had this clear idea, this is what your future is going to look like, these are the things you're going to manifest, you're going to have this kind of job, you're going to be married to this individual. You had this pretty good idea of what you wanted and how you were going to accomplish it, but then all of that changed. You grew up a little bit, you matured a bit, the things you wanted changed, so you had to change that vision of your next 5 years. Knight of Cups. Lots of rebirth cards. So you're going through an entire rebirth. This is what I'm getting from the cards. You went through a rebirth in your desires and your intentions recently. Now you're going through a rebirth in the way that you cope with your emotions. Like, you've been pretty reactive with your emotions for quite some time. If somebody says something nasty to you, you say something nasty back because you feel compelled to do so. But you're changing that. You're like, hey, that doesn't align with the character I want to create for myself. So you're changing the way you interact with your emotions. And these two cards so far, they want to say to me that your next 5 years are defined by what you're setting in motion now. So whatever you're starting now, are you, like, the subjects you're studying, the applications you're making, everything that you're setting in motion now is what your next 5 years will look like. Your future isn't going to happen to you. It isn't just going to be something. You have to create it for yourself. You see the future in your mind. That's the only place you can see the future is what you want it to look like. And you can only have what you want it to be if you're doing things in the present. So you're taking parts of that vision and you're making your present look like it, little bit by little, until it corresponds. Because you can never live in the future. You can only live in the present. 10 of Discs in reverse. This card wants you to be mindful of blaming. Mindful of blaming the environment, saying, oh, it's my aunt and uncle's fault that I wasn't able to do well in that business. Oh, it's my boss's fault that I couldn't keep that job, he was an asshole. Or it's my school's fault, they didn't teach me the right things, that's why I couldn't get into this university, that's why I failed that subject. It wants you to be very careful about putting the blame in other places, because that's misfortune. If you do that, you never learn from your experience, because you're always putting the blame on others. So you never acknowledge that something has to change here, and you keep repeating the same mistakes again and again and again, and seeing the same results, and then blaming the environment, and then repeating the same mistakes, and then blaming the environment. It wants you to be very careful of that. It's saying that whatever you want to create in the next 5 years is up to you to create. And every time that you fail, you just learn from your own mistakes. You look at yourself and like, where did I fuck up? What can I do better next time? Don't look at how the environment affected your failure. Look at how you affected your failure and make changes accordingly. As long as you keep learning, you are never in misfortune. You're never losing out. All of your investments in time, you're still learning from the experience even if you failed. If you're blaming, you're not learning anything, you're not gaining anything. Just be careful of that going into the future. Captain Ross, I called for you again and again and again, but you weren't here, so what can I do about that, man? What can I do about that? I did get to your question, you just weren't here when I called you. It's been like 40 minutes since I called your name. That's an exaggeration. Please join the queue again. If you're in the mood for answering questions, what are the spirits and creatures in my household like at the moment? Just curious what an outside take might be on it. That's a cool question, Milton. I will have a look for that when I get to you in the queue. Yes, please join the queue again, Captain Ross. Next up is a Rogue Vandal. So Rogue Vandal, please confirm if you're here. After Rogue Vandal we have Exclaim. Exclaim 2. Rogue Vandal, and then Exclaim 2. And the chat gets really busy here, and I don't see anyone asking for readings until Psyches. So I'm waiting for Rogue Vandal, Exclaim 2, and Psyches. By the way, Princess Googlebum, you spelled Doos D-O-O-S. Psyches is still here. The other two seem to have left. We'll give them a few moments. Yes, thank you. It was great to hang out with you too. It'll be cool if you start using the word Doos in your life as like a playful insult, like we do here in the Republic of SA. D-O-O-S. After Psyches, who else joined the queue? Gyojin joined the queue after Psyches. Okay. You didn't leave a question earlier, did you, Psyches? It doesn't really matter. I can read without a question. I can lay a spread before you ask a question, so I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle and lay the spread. In the meantime, you can ask a question. Okay, General, no problem. General reading. Six of Wands. As the first card, it's in reverse. So there's a wreath. There's a person riding a horse in the Six of Wands, a woman, and she is carrying one wand over her shoulder, and it has a wreath on it, like a Christmas wreath. So this card is, first of all, the first thing that stands out to me is that you have gone through the darkest night. You know, Christmas it's about Yuletide, it's about the winter solstice, it's about enduring through winter. So you've seen the darkest of the night, and things can only get brighter. You know, the days only get longer after the winter solstice. So it's like an encouragement saying you've seen the darkest of the night. Things are only going to get brighter and better from here, warmer. What else does this card say? It wants you to acknowledge how your relationships played a part in getting you through that dark night. That's not necessarily to do with your romance. It's just relationships in general, your support structure, the people. You know, you have you have certain desires that you want to manifest, and there are other people who have desires to manifest, and you guys are doing the best that you can. You know, you and the others in your support structure, you're doing the best that you can to manifest those desires. So yeah, it wants you to have a look at, just wants you to look at that and like be aware, yeah, it wasn't without that support structure I wouldn't have made it, and you know, I'm a part of that support structure, so I helped others get through their darkest hours as they helped me. In the present, I got number 20 in reverse. Did I show you this card here? This is Six of Wands. Judgment, number 20. This card is in reverse. So in this card there's like a bunch of naked people in boxes, and there's an angel in the sky with red wings, and they're all like praising the angel. So the very first thing that this card talks to me about is like judgment, condemnation, being judged and condemned for your beliefs, for your practices, for your nakedness, for your authenticity, for being who you are and living in your box. The card also wants you to acknowledge that you've done the same, that you do the same. You look at other people in their lives and their paradigm, being their authentic selves according to what they know and understand about the world, and you judge and condemn them as well. As much as that is being done to you, you have done that and you do that to others. It wants you to turn this around. So you look at someone else in their box. So their box would look like their worldview, it would be their belief system, and then their nakedness is just how they exist within that authentically, without trying to cover up or hide who they are and what they believe. So turning this card around, with you looking at these other naked people in their boxes, looking at your neighbors, looking at your friends, looking at your family, and instead of condemning them, saying, oh, what you believe is wrong, and you're going to find yourself in the shit because of that, and you're going to get threefold what you put out come back to you, instead of condemning and judging like that, to say, hey, if I had to live the way you're living, it wouldn't work for me. If I had to perpetuate that behavior that I'm seeing in you, it would result in ruin within my own life. Never mind how it's affecting them, never mind them at all, only learning from their example. That's righteous judgment, that's healthy judgment. So it wants you to go from condemnation to judgment. I guess that's the difference between condemnation and judgment. Now, there was one other thing that this card was saying. One other thing. It's gone. Obviously it doesn't want to come out loud. It must have been for me. Nine of Wands. That's the future. Here I've got a non-binary character who's like kind of dressed in hiking gear, holding a wand, and there are a bunch of wands behind him, her. And he, she is kind of looking, they are kind of looking at these other ones like stay away from my wand. Almost like his or her wand, like their wand is threatened by the other ones. So this is saying that you're about to step into the final stage before you see completion of your desires, before you see manifestation of your desires. You have recently been making the changes inside of yourself, like you know what you want to create, right? You want what you want to create for yourself, and you look at your own habits and your own lifestyle, and you see, okay, that kind of behavior, that kind of habit, those things don't serve me, that relationship doesn't serve me, so on and so forth. I need to let go of those things. Oh, these things do serve me. I need to pick that habit up. I need to start engaging in that kind of lifestyle, because that's the character that lives the dream I want to accomplish. So you've already gone through that. You've been making those adjustments in yourself, basically. The Nine of Wands is like when you get to the point and you're like, so why haven't I reached completion yet? It's like, I've made all the changes, I am the person I need to be, why haven't I seen completion yet? And in this place you start looking back and you ask yourself, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? What mistakes have I made? Have all of my intentions been healthy and selfless? And then what hasn't been? You know, where have my mistakes been? Where have my successes been? You identify them so that you can take your successes and apply them again in the present, and that steps you into completion. And then as you start the new journey, you can avoid the mistakes that you identified. As soon as you come out of that reflection period where you're asking yourself, where have I gone wrong, you step into completion. And this card, the final piece of advice it has for you is that not all of your desires and not all of your intentions will you be able to carry through into completion. You're going to have to leave some of those things behind. Some of the things you've worked on and invested in have stagnated. They are not bringing back. You know, you've invested into them, you haven't seen anything come back out of it. You haven't seen any harvest come from it. Those things have to be left behind. The ones that have manifested, the ones that have started seeing returns from, the intentions you've set that have started developing, the investments you've made that you have seen returns on, those ones are the ones that you need to protect from the others and carry through. If you try and carry all of the ones through, you'll get none of them through into completion. You're going to have to let go of the ones that have not been manifesting, the ones that have become stagnant, basically. Certain relationships, certain investments, certain projects that have stagnated, you can't carry all of those things through. The ones that are most important, the ones that are working, focus on those, prioritize those, and carry them through into completion. I'm so glad that the tarot is giving you value. The spirits are giving you value through the tarot. Tarot is a tool after all. Spirit of wisdom. So Xiaojing never confirmed. And you're most welcome, Psyches. Thank you. So if if Xiaojing isn't here, then we're moving on. Exclaim isn't here. Vandal isn't here. Moving on. Pixel Angel says that I missed the breathing exercise. There was no breathing exercise. The deep breathing, it's like it's symbolic. I didn't mean actually deep breathing. I mean like breaking your head above the surface of the water, getting the opportunity to take a deep breath within the spirit of wisdom before you have to submerge yourself back into the sea. It's like symbolic, not literal. It's figurative, not literal. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of the queue. If anyone would like to join the queue, please go ahead, because like we've reached the end of the queue. Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm seeing notifications on Facebook that are very interesting. It looks like certain people on my friends list have joined some of the groups that I'm in. Okay, so I'm gonna go and use the toilet again because I need to. It's like, it's so frustrating. Like, I gotta use the toilet more than once. Why can't we use the toilet once a day, you know? Eat once a day, shit once a day, sleep once a day, and then just be done. And why must sleeping happen for like 7 hours? Why can't we sleep for 2? And then, you know, have 22 hours to ourselves. No, not interesting. Facebook, that's the worst kind. I think I'll decide what's interesting to me, thank you very much. As you decide what's interesting to you. But let me go. Okay, so what I find interesting is not to do with Facebook. What is interesting is what kind of influence I have over what kind of individual. That is what is interesting. And the notifications on Facebook, you know, they give me hints. Okay, so let me answer your question, Milton, which was something to do with creatures in your house. If you're still here. Spirits in your house. If you're still here. try to avoid interesting. It always means people want something of me that's never good. I don't know. I think that if people want something from me that is good, it means that I have a card to play, you know? If somebody wants something from me, I can give them something and they can give me something in return. That's how it works, right? That's how energy exchange works. That's how the sixes of the tarot work. That's how support structure works. It's like energy exchange, equal energy exchange. I need something, I want something, you can provide it, I have something that I can provide in return. It seems a very important part of life. When I said interesting just now, though, it's more about what I want and less about what they want. Because they don't know that I'm looking at the notifications that Facebook is sending to me. Yeah. They don't know that I'm observing my own influence on them. Okay, let's see. What are the energetics, spiritual energetics of your environment, Milton? Let's see. I would like to use astral projection and water scrying for this. But anyway. Whatever. Lust. Lust. Cruelty. Intimidation. Dominance. Interesting. So this last card should be strength. It should be, you know, the strength of desire, but it's not. Like I want something, because I want it, I make it happen. That's how it should be, strength. But when this card is reversed, when lust is reversed, it's overwhelming. I want it so bad that it's overwhelming and I never actually take action towards accomplishing it. So, yeah, there is an energetics of lust that surrounds you. I'm familiar with this frequency, very familiar with this frequency, and I can't really explain it to you. But I think you wouldn't be here watching the stream if you didn't know what I was talking about, if you didn't understand this energetics of lust and strength. Something that I feel right here and here. There's a visceral sensation. And then this one, cruelty, it's actually the 9 of swords, so that's not actually like direct cruelty, it's more like when I'm reaching the end of my journey, when I'm reaching the end of the road, it can be scary because like, where do I go from there? I've been working on this project for so long, I'm now nearing the end. Where do I go from there? It's scary. That's the kind of cruelty. It's not like you're deliberately being cruel to yourself or you're deliberately being cruel to others. It's just this feeling of oppression and cruelty because you're nearing the end of something, and there's all of this fear of the unknown, uncertainty, and it's that uncertainty that feels cruel, it feels oppressive. So far I'm getting fear and lust. Also, clarity. Nine of Swords is also about clarity, being able to see yourself clearly, your own mistakes, your own flaws, your own strengths, being able to see yourself clearly, self-acknowledged, self-aware. And then the Queen of Wands in the future that I described as domination, intimidation. So it's like one of those moments where you are uncertain of what you're capable of, and so you're talking to someone else about what you want to create and what you hope for, what you desire, what you lust for, but you're uncertain in yourself of whether or not you're capable of manifesting that, or whether it's a realistic expectation or desire. So then talking to someone else, you almost get overzealous about it, and you almost like you're trying to convince them that you can accomplish this thing, that you're capable. But the only person you're actually convincing is yourself. But in that moment, the energetics for them, it's intimidating. It's like it pushes them away. Like, okay, dude, you're a little bit, tone it down a little bit. You don't need to convince me. That kind of energy. So I don't know if this is talking about something that someone else is doing to you. No, it's about you doing that to someone else. Things that you're believing, things that you want to accomplish, and that you're not entirely convinced of. And so you end up trying to convince them. Or in the conversation, it's almost like the conversation turns into an argument of you trying to convince them that it's possible, but they don't need to be convinced. It's you that needs to be convinced, and it's like you need them to believe in it so that you can believe in it. And that ends up pushing them away. That's pushing people around you away. You needing other people to believe in you, needing other people to believe in your outcome, your desire, before you can believe in it. And you need to believe in it before anyone else does. This is quite curious. I do like this. You are quite fun. Thank you. So I know that I seem to have focused on the negatives here, but there are positives. Self-awareness, you've got that down. Self-acknowledgement, self-awareness, you've got it down. Passion, zealousy, that inner fire that actually drives us towards our outcomes, you've got it. It's burning a bit too brightly. Or, no, it's not burning too brightly, never too much fire. The expression of it is too hot. You can handle the flames, those around you can't so much, so you need to shield them from the fires of your passion a little bit. Seriously, this is enjoyable. Thank you very much, and thank you. I think we're done though. I think we're done for the day. How long did you say you were streaming for? Like 5 hours, and you were tearing into each other? I still haven't checked out your channel. Send me a link on the dreaded Book of Faces. Send me a link to your channel, because I'm never gonna rewatch this video to check the chat, and when I search your name, I don't really find you. So send me a link to your channel on one of the socials. Doesn't have to be the dreaded Book of Faces. It can be Discord. Discord is cool. And then I will, occasionally, sometimes watch your streams. I'll check you out at the very least. But anyway, thank you very much. Thank you, Milton. Thank you, Psyches. Thank you, Princess Googlebum. I'll see you guys soon. I will draw tomorrow. I'll be drawing tomorrow. I'll be finishing my portrait of Yellow Daisy, or continuing with it anyway. I'm not going to pressure myself to finish it. Only 3 hours, and we were turning into each other, but it was fun. And I was on another guy's channel. He's a new person, and I would be able to give you the name. And I'm sorry, I'm not on Facebook, only YouTube and Discord. Well, like I said, send the message on Discord. Discord's cool. I like literally said those words verbatim. Looking forward to getting that message from you on Discord.